Good morning, and thank you for joining us for Commencement Live. This is Georgia Tech's 254th Commencement, and we are live here in Zelnak Gym. So we are just a few steps away from you guys over in McCamish, and over the next hour or so, we're going to be introducing you to some of these graduates you see here as they're lining up, getting ready for their big moment. This is the time when all of their hard work is coming to a culmination, and we are here to celebrate along with them, and we want to introduce you to some of the cool and interesting stories of graduates you'll see walking across the stage today. So joining me this morning is Bryce Zimmerman from Georgia Tech Institute Communications. Bryce, tell me about some of the stories we're going to hear about today.
We're going to hear all sorts of stories. We're going to hear from people that have been on homecoming court, aerospace engineers that are going to flight school, members that have been involved in student organizations such as the National Association for Black Engineers. We have presidents. We have so many very talented students that are earning their degrees. And one of those talented students is right here, and this is Shawnice Saunders. Shawnice, how's it going?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We're getting ready for commencement, and I'd like to talk to you about where you're from and where some of the people that are coming to see you are coming from, because they're coming from a long way away.
Yes, so I'm from Fayetteville, Georgia, originally from New York, and I have family coming from New York and Jamaica because that's where my family is originally from.
So you have family from New York and Jamaica. What is the travel like to get from Jamaica to here in order to watch you graduate today?
So a few of them actually came in a little earlier in the month, but it's probably about like 3 or so hours, and so it's not a bad flight.
Oh, that's not a bad flight at all. Okay. Let's talk about your time here at Georgia Tech. I know you were very, very involved on campus. Tell us about some of the things that you did while you were here.
I was involved with the National Society of Black Engineers, African American Student Union, Student Government Association, GT 1000, and a few other things.
Okay, so National Society of Black Engineers. Tell us a little bit about that. I think you were the president, right? You weren't just involved. You were a president. I
did finish my term as president in April of 2017. It's an organization founded to provide academic support, community service, as well as build community. And so it was one of my favorite organizations on campus. I've been involved all of my time here, and it was an honor to be president.
What are some of the things that you've seen in your time here at Tech that have really helped this campus grow, and some of the ways that you're going to really remember your time here at Tech?
That's a hard one. I think just seeing how students kind of have a sense of camaraderie. I think we all talk about finals, but that's kind of the time that we're pushed to our limits. And then I saw all the time when I see the most like random acts of kindness, that really warms my heart to let me know that someone else is thinking about me during this tough time. So,
what type of degree are you graduating with today?
A business administration degree, concentrating in human capital.
All right, so we've got a business administration graduate. Shawnice, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck today.
Thank you, same to you.
All right, that's Shawnice Saunders. We're going to now see a package from Jasper Narvel, who is an international affairs student, the Ivan Avalon College of Liberal Arts.
Yeah, it is a primarily STEM-oriented school. But I think it's given me an even greater sense of identity, especially now that I'm applying for jobs on the job market, because it is a very unique program here at Georgia Tech that kind of combines technology and science and math with these softer sciences like economics, international affairs, public policy, and that's a really unique take on a sort of more traditional subject, at least given me, you know, the extra edge when it comes to job hunting and describing myself to future employers. I definitely tried to go for things that I think I normally wouldn't go for. I was a bit introverted in high school, so when I came into college, I kind of wanted to change that. So I went to the study abroad fair in September or October, I think it was, and I kind of got to see all the different study abroad programs and what all Tech was offering. And that's where I kind of heard about the EU study abroad program. So we studied European politics, we studied US-EU relations. We got to meet with a lot of really high-level diplomats and think tank leaders, and it was just a very immersive, very cool experience. We got to jump from like Berlin to Poland to France to Ireland. We were all over the place. Definitely, without Georgia Tech, I do not think I would have got to experience all that I did in Europe. Chasing new opportunities in general here that I guess are a little bit out of my comfort zone has really allowed me to grow and develop. And I think knowing that I can make it through an environment like this down the road is always going to be a source of strength, because I know that, if I made it through Tech, I can make it through everything.
And Jasper Narvel joins me now. Jasper, you got to be feeling excited this morning.
I am. It's finally come around. This is probably the first morning in a long time that I've woken up excited. So.
And woken up this early, right?
Yeah, it was super early, and I just like jumped straight out of bed. So yeah, it's pretty easy.
So your plans after graduation, inspired by kind of your international journey here at Tech, you're planning on doing a little globe trotting.
Yes, I am. I've been privileged enough to go on a really cool graduation trip. I'm going to India, Thailand, Singapore, and Australia.
Sounds like a fun trip. Anybody you want to say hi to over in Zelnach? I'm sorry, McCamish?
Yeah, I'm going to say that. Anju, Malat, and my boyfriend Matt. They're all coming with me, so.
Well, he's got to go get in line, so we're going to send him off. Jasper, congratulations.
Right, thank you so much.
We're going to step over and talk to Miss Brandy Hill. Brandy, a chemical engineering student, a hell of an engineer. Are you feeling excited this morning?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been waiting for this day for 4.5 years, so I'm so excited to finally be at graduation.
And 4.5 years, not anything to shake a stick at for an engineering degree.
Right, yeah. Like it's normal for us to take a little longer than other majors, so it's fine.
And now, you were really involved in diverse communities on campus. Why was that important for you to get involved with?
It was important to me because I know coming into Georgia Tech, one thing that everyone has a problem with is finding where they fit in, and so diversity allows us to really like meet people where they are and make sure people are accepted for who they are, celebrated for who they are, not in spite of. So that's why it was important to me to make sure everyone feels welcome, because that is what makes us the Georgia Tech community.
And you've got family and friends over at McCamish. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Definitely my mom, my auntie Kimmy, my best friend Asia, my girlfriend Fess, everybody who came, like drove all the way down from Chicago. I love y'all so much. I'll literally start crying, so I don't want to do too much. But thank you so much for being here to support me.
And I have to say, when Brandy is walking across the stage, we're going to zoom down because she's got the gold shoes on.
Yes.
You will be able to see her from every corner of McCamish. All right.
Absolutely.
Brandy, she's got to go get in line as well.
Right.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right. So excited over here. We've got more graduates to introduce you to and tons of great stories, including Kyle Forbes, who took his career into his own hands and made quite a journey to make sure that he got there.
My name is Kyle Forbes. I am an architecture major at the Georgia Institute of Technology. I am graduating today, and it is an exciting moment. I knew I wanted to do architecture in high school, but I wanted to go into theme park design. Ultimately, maybe either master planning or show set design, production design management with theme park attractions and shows. So last spring break, I decided to take a couple days there and drive down to Orlando and just start knocking on doors and passing out resumes. I didn't really know how to get into this industry. Specifically, I happened to notice that there was a firm that was opening in the spring that was specifically contracted out by both Disney and Universal that was very attractive to me. It seemed like they had a lot to offer me to do, as well as going to get me a taste of the industry a little bit. Happened to knock on their door when they were hiring their fabrication team, and they asked me if I was going to be part of the welding staff. And I have not welded a day in my life. So I let them know I'm a student at Georgia Tech, I'm an architecture major, and I'd like an internship with something related to show set design. And they were able to interview me that day on the spot with someone, and a few weeks later, they offered me an internship over the summer. And before I left, I guess they enjoyed the work that I did, and they offered me a full-time position when I graduated. The people who work in this industry are just so passionate. I think that's where people are the most successful, is when they find what they're passionate about, that one little spark, and just go after it. But the people in this industry have just such a love and care for creating these experiences. I think being able to just realize what goes into designing these fantastic places and why they're designed. Why are these things chosen? There's something I really love that I learned while working there called the architecture of reassurance. And it's this idea that you're able to design a space or an environment that reassures someone that they go into and then come out of feeling more optimistic about the world, about themselves, about the experiences that they had there.
All right, that was a great look at Kyle Forbes. Now I'm standing here with Kyle, and we know what you want to do now for your career, which sounds fantastic, and you're already well on your way. But
thank you, sir.
It was a little bit of a different journey for you to get to Georgia Tech. Tell us how you got to Atlanta from where you originally started.
So I started at Georgia Tech Savannah. I basically traveled up here to Atlanta in spring 2012. Transferred up here. I was originally mechanical engineering. About a year after I transferred up to the Atlanta campus, I changed majors to architecture, realizing that was more in the realm of what I wanted to do. And then after that, took off about a year, not necessarily, a little less than a year, to work at Disney as a cast member.
Which we now know was invaluable in just jumpstarting you into your new career.
That kind of, I would say it was very, very helpful to kind of understand the field itself, as well as them looking at it on my resume and saying, holy cow, he worked at Disney, he'd be great here. But I came back, finished up my classes in architecture, and now graduating today.
And what prompted that change from engineering to architecture? Because I know you had a big conversation with your father, who is an engineer.
Yes, so I had originally wanted to do architecture in high school, went into engineering because it seemed like the more lucrative field. It is. And it was a lot of back and forth with my parents, family, and friends as well here on campus. Eventually, it kind of came down to what I wanted to do with my life, and kind of realizing in engineering, I like the creative side, I like the design side a lot more than the math and science. And not to knock that, because it's invaluable in understanding how to build something. But to me, I was more interested in just the design aspect, the creation aspect, rather than the enacting it, bringing it to life.
All right, so you spent time on 2 different Georgia Tech campuses. What are going to be your most remembered moments here at Tech?
Well, at Georgia Tech Savannah, I will never forget the group of friends that I had there. I served as a team leader for GT1000, and it was a wonderful experience, and I really enjoyed the friends that I made there, the students I got to help mentor a little bit. Here as well, as soon as I came up here, I got heavily involved with different campus ministries, but one that really stuck with me and got with me is the BCM, the Baptist Collegiate Ministry. It was a wonderful time to get to participate in different Georgia Tech traditions, the Mini 500 homecoming, of course, with them, building a pomp display, stay up all night for those, like having those opportunities to build those friendships with them that are going to last for a long time, that I'm still going to be friends with even after graduation, is invaluable. It's did a lot for me and my faith.
Kyle, congratulations. Enjoy the day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, that's Kyle Forbes. Next, we're going to take a look at one of the brightest smiles on campus, a former SGA president and a very involved student here at Georgia Tech.
I have really loved my time here at Tech, and some of the things that I'm most proud of have really all stemmed around improving the general student experience. And so from things like advocating for students on sexual assault or bringing hammocks to campus, those are the things that I'm really, really proud of. When I first came to Georgia Tech, there weren't a ton of people from Delaware, my hometown, that came to Georgia Tech. So whenever I would meet someone at Facet who was also a Delawarean, I went, oh, you're the other person from Delaware. So we bonded over that, and it was really exciting. It definitely took a lot for me to step out of my comfort zone, especially since I was kind of shy when first coming to college, and so I really had to work at developing some of those sustainable relationships that really help you during college. The best thing for me about Georgia Tech are our traditions, but especially the tradition and culture of giving back, and that's just one of the things that I love so much about Georgia Tech, this progress and service mentality. And I think so many people who are at this institution, from our administration to our faculty to other students, really embody that culture.
And we're back here in Zelnak with Nigella Nakuna, and I'll have to tell you, she's one of the most humble students you'll ever meet with everything she did here on campus. But this young lady was actually the National Collegiate Student Body President of the Year. That's got to be something you're looking back and proud of.
It was really fun. It was a great experience to be able to interact with all of the student body presidents all year, and it was great that 2 Georgia presidents made the Final Four.
What are you going to be looking back on during your time here, and what are you going to remember the most fondly?
I think the relationships I made and the friendships I had here were definitely so amazing, and I definitely won't forget it. I also had a great time meeting lots of our administration. They're probably the best admin I've ever seen on any campus, and so I'm just really appreciative to have them working for students.
And a special point of pride for Nigella to be graduating from the top-ranked industrial engineering program in the country. What's next for you?
I will be moving to San Francisco to work for Google, and hopefully after that pursue an MBA. And so I'm really looking forward to that too.
Hoping she comes back to Georgia Tech for her MBA. All right.
Scheller College of Business.
All right, Nigella, she's got to go get in line. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, amazing students here at Georgia Tech. Another one of those is Mr. Thomas Gaines. Thomas actually worked with Institute Communications in our office. You graduated with your degree in business administration.
Yes, I did.
So you've got family over in McCamish. Anybody you want to say hello to?
I want to say hello to my grandparents. They all flew over from Texas and New Orleans and California.
And speaking of New Orleans, that's where you're headed next. You're doing something a little bit different and entering seminary.
Yes, so as long as everything goes according to plan, I'll be entering a 7-year plan for Priestley formation, and hopefully that'll be in August. Yeah.
And what was your favorite memory from Georgia Tech in your time here?
Ooh, favorite memory? It had to be the kick 6 from the Florida State game. I was watching it from up in the stands and everyone went absolutely wild.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite memories too.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas, he's got to go get in line too.
So
congratulations.
Much.
All right, tons of great students back here in Zelnak. They're preparing to get ready to come over for graduation in just a little bit. We're going to continue sharing their stories with you. The next student we're going to introduce you to has had connections to Georgia Tech, her family, for the past 100 years. And when she crosses the stage, she'll be the 4th generation of Yellow Jacket in her family. Let's meet Emma Siegfried.
So I am actually a 4th generation Georgia Tech student. My great-grandfather, I found years ago a picture of him in the 1910 blueprint. He actually did not graduate from Georgia Tech because he was drafted for World War I. He basically told my grandfather, if you're going to go to college, you're going to Georgia Tech and you're going to be a textile engineer. So my grandfather came to Georgia Tech and was a textile engineer. My mother, the only school she applied to was Georgia Tech. Funnily enough, did not want to go to Georgia Tech. I lived 35 minutes away. I thought it was too close to home. But as soon as I stepped foot on campus, I knew it was the right place for me. My mother was in rec club, so it's kind of been a family affair, to say the least. She loved Georgia Tech, and I think growing up, she kind of passed that on to me. I have lots of childhood memories of Georgia Tech. I remember my mom telling me about Sideways, and because of that, that's kind of my favorite tradition because it's something that's carried over from my childhood. Just little things like that that I think make this campus so special to me are things that have definitely been passed down from my family. One of my favorite places to walk on campus is actually Old Campus, up like near Tech Tower and Harrison Square, simply because back when my great-grandfather was here, campus didn't really exist, and what was really here was what's Old Campus. When I'm up there, I think about, wait, this is where my grandfather, this is the exact location where my grandfather was walking around and my great-grandfather, my mother. I explained to a lot of my friends, the history of Georgia Tech is not just the history of Georgia Tech for me, it's also the history of my family. I feel like I fit in, and that's not something I've felt before. High school, I was the geeky, nerdy kid. I mean, I think pretty much everyone here would say the same thing, and being here at Tech, being the geeky, nerdy kid is normal. And I think that is something that makes our campus so special and so unique.
All right, we're back here in Zelnak, and we are with Emma Siegfried. Hi, how's it going?
Great, how are you?
You must be feeling pretty good right about now.
Yes, definitely, 110%. It is a little bit bittersweet, but I'm excited.
So we saw in the package that you have a very long connection with Georgia Tech. I mean, dating back over a century. But I want to know if there's anything that has happened during your time here on campus where you went back to your mom or your grandfather and said, look what's happening on campus here at Tech.
I think my experience with research, I've been doing research since I was a first year at Tech, and I got to go out on a research festival for a month one summer So getting to do that was definitely unique in comparison to kind of what my family has done. And the opportunities here for research are amazing. And all the research that people like biomedical engineers are doing, it's moving our country forward. So I think that would probably be the unique aspect.
So you mentioned in the video that you really love Old Campus, and you've been coming here since you were a little kid, but I mean, we're starting to see a lot of progression on Tech's campus with West Side Village being brought up and all sorts of different construction going on. What's most exciting for you that you've seen from when you were a little kid now moving all the way into your graduation day?
I would probably say West Village, honestly. I live on West Campus, and so for me, being able to see like the progression of West Campus starting as a freshman when we didn't have that up until now, and kind of see how it's becoming more and more, I guess, modern, is really, really nice. Especially when all those dorms were built in like when I was born. So that's really nice to see.
Okay, so you're a biology major, and you have some experience working at local attractions. Tell us about where you've worked and some of the things that you've learned.
So I did an internship both at Zoo Atlanta and the Georgia Aquarium. And for that, I think, going off on kind of a biology tangent here.
That's okay, we like biology tangents.
I learned how important it is to kind of educate children about conservation of animals. I know that it's really easy to kind of get stuck in your ways, and if you're not taught that very young, you don't realize how important it is. Our Earth is changing. I think it's really difficult to deny that. And so remembering how important it is to conserve all of those animals and all of the unique species is really, really important.
All right, Emma, congratulations. Thank you so much. 100 years her family has been coming to Georgia Tech. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
All right, so we're also going to bring in Andrew over here, and it's always a pleasure to have a former Mr. Georgia Tech receiving their diploma. What's going through your mind right now? You've been very involved in this campus for a long time.
Absolutely. I am. It's a little kind of bittersweet to leave. I joked around just recently that I love being a student. I just don't want to go to class. I would love to stay on campus a little bit more. It'll be sad to leave for sure. But hey, I got a Georgia Tech diploma. I'm happy.
Yeah, and we all know that that is worth its
So
weight
much.
in gold, and the time that you put in here at campus. And speaking of that time, you're kind of atypical when it comes to a computer science major because you weren't all that interested in the subject matter until you got here.
Right. Yeah. No, I used a line that when I got here, I was using Internet Explorer, if that means anything, right? I didn't know what computer science was. I had never programmed in my life, and what's great about Georgia Tech is that it has these opportunities for you to explore different things and kind of develop passions or even interests. And it helped me develop that passion and interest with computer science, and that's how I am here today.
What drew you to that major? What was something about it that you said, that's what I want to do with my life?
It was the perfect combination, for me at least, of math and science, as well as kind of design, art, and that visual thinking.
Okay, so as Mr. Georgia Tech, you've had a heightened profile here on campus, and I know one of the recent topics that's been at the top of everybody's minds here is mental health, and that's something that you've really worked hard for.
Absolutely. Mental health is extremely important. I think we need to come together as a community more to focus on each other's mental health. Over the past few years, I have really kind of delved into it. It's been something that I've gotten really passionate about and will definitely carry forward into the real world.
Andrew, congratulations on graduating. Get out there, have fun.
Appreciate it.
All right, that's Andrew Perry. He is a homecoming Mr. Georgia Tech, but we also had a new Miss Georgia Tech crown this year who is blazing a very impressive path through her time here. Let's take a look at Renee Copeland, the new 2017 Miss Georgia Tech.
Would have never imagined that this would happen to me, but it's really exciting. I went through the OMED Challenge program, and it's a 5-week summer intensive program that takes you through calculus, computer science, chemistry. I worked as a challenge counselor, and in that program, when you're a challenge counselor, you live with the challenge students, and so you get to see them all the time, 24/7. You're planning events for them, and for me, that was just more of an opportunity to really get to know my mentees and know some of the challenges they face. This past challenge program was when I really was like, I'm really passionate about going and helping people, and that's where my career path has kind of changed to becoming a doctor, and that only just happened during this last challenge. Just life-changing and altering to realize my identity through these programs. I was the Technical Outreach and Community Help Chair for the Georgia Tech Society of Black Engineers, and then I have worked my way up in the executive board of the African American recruitment team, now called the Black Student Recruitment Team, and just being an advocate for my Black peers, becoming my closest friends, my support system here at Georgia Tech, because I couldn't have done it without the Black community here. And I was able to do research in Dr. Mark Prasnet's lab and work on ionic liquid drug delivery. That's when I became super passionate about reaching back to underrepresented minority groups, making sure that they're not left behind and they can come to schools like Georgia Tech. They can do biomedical engineering. Now the next question is what I can do as a future alumna of Georgia Tech and how I can reach back to all of the organizations that have helped me grow into the person that I am and the person that I will be come December.
And we are honored right now to have this morning's commencement speaker, Dr. Mary Sue Coleman, here with us. And Dr. Coleman currently heads up the Association of American Universities, former president of the University of Michigan. Dr. Coleman, good morning. How do you prepare for a speech like this?
I love coming to commencement. Georgia Tech is a proud member of AAU, and I'm thrilled to be here to talk to the graduates.
Is there a special message you're going to have for graduates today?
Well, I think to appreciate what Georgia Tech has done for you and give back to the world.
And what is your word of advice for this class of graduates?
Well, you know, it's been a tumultuous year. There's been good and bad, but I'm an optimist, and I want our students to be optimists because Georgia Tech graduates are going to help change the world.
Definitely. Dr. Coleman, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're excited to hear Dr. Coleman's speech. We're going to continue introducing you to graduates as our president, Dr. Peterson, is making a little speech. I'm going to pull in Renee Copeland. We just saw her little video, Miss Georgia Tech. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm super excited. It's a whole 4.5 years of work culminated into one big ceremony, so I'm really excited to graduate and get out and start a new chapter in life.
And I'm gonna, she's got her +1 here with her, so we're gonna pull in Mr. Freeman. So you guys, I saw the pictures you took together. How did you guys meet while you're here? And first off, I gotta say, you gotta be lucky to be dating Miss Georgia Tech, right?
I'm honored, you know.
So tell me the story of how y'all met.
So we were in strategic
management statistics.
We were statistics, and I noticed her in class. I would see her every day, and I finally, you know, built up the courage to speak. It was kind of awkward at first because my voice cracked like really badly, but you know, she looked past it, and we've been together for 2 years. So.
And I hear that this guy helped in your run to Miss Georgia Tech. Is that right?
Yes. On our first date, he sat us. We were sitting down, and he was like, "I think you would make a great Miss Georgia Tech," and I was like, "No, I wouldn't." And so through the whole process, he was supportive, stayed up with me late nights doing presentations and stuff like that.
And so Renee will be graduating as a hell of an engineer. Kashun getting his degree in business administration. Kashun also played on the football team. You looking back, kind of any favorite memories from your time here at Georgia Tech?
It's been an amazing time. One of the greatest honors was that my team selected me as captain this year, and that was an honor. So shout out to the Georgia Tech football team, my coaches, and you know, I'm excited.
Yeah. Big day. Well, these guys have to go get in line. Congratulations to you both, celebrating the day together. We're going to continue to introduce you to more graduates getting ready to cross the stage in just a couple of minutes. We've got 2 students who have been incredibly involved on campus, Nick Laconico and Ellen Min. Let's meet them.
Don't eat it.
Like many Georgia Tech first years, I struggled a lot that first freshman year. Not really knowing what I wanted to major in, not knowing if I did well academically, and due to the amazing support of the community here, of students, faculty, and staff, I was able to succeed, and I'm now graduating with honors. Georgia Tech has given me so many amazing opportunities. I've been able to serve on the FACET cabinet, teaching our new students about tech traditions and history, being my fraternity's president, and being the development director for alternative service breaks, training our trip leaders, and setting 10 trips with over 150 participants. And then being a Mr. Georgia Tech finalist, being on the field with my parents, it was such an amazing opportunity. So the best thing about this school are the people here. I was told coming in that if you're the smartest person in the room at the college you're attending, you're at the wrong place. And I will say I'm definitely definitely at the right place. There's incredibly smart people here, passionate people who just push you to strive for greatness, and I'm so happy to be a part of the school and to soon be an alumnus of the school. After graduation, I'll still be on campus. I will be interning in the new Student and Sophomore Programs Office and the Office of Admissions before entering a Higher Education and Student Affairs Master's program in the fall of 2018. And I'm so excited to serve these offices. They gave so much to me as a fast leader and a tour guide, and I cannot wait. Go Jackets!
So coming to Georgia Tech meant that I would be coming to college with a lot of my high school friends and a lot of people that I've seen throughout high school. And so one thing that was really challenging was pushing myself to go beyond my comfort zone and finding that balance between meeting those new people and also maintaining those past relationships that I've had throughout high school was a huge challenge. So during my time at Georgia Tech, I've actually gotten to participate in the Facet Orientation program for the past 4 summers. And I'm really proud of the times that I've spent there because I've gotten to interact with not only all the incoming new students and their families, but I've also gotten to work with 400 amazing campus leaders. I've gotten to share the traditions on stage, whether it be with the funny jokes that we tried to make or just informing the students of how they can get involved on campus has been truly a rewarding experience. Also, I have been a part of the Ramblin' Rec Club, and so getting to cheer on our football team and sharing our traditions and celebrating homecoming with a group of amazing students who really truly love Georgia Tech has been a highlight of my Georgia Tech experience. The best thing about Georgia Tech is that it has provided me a space to really grow and figure out what I want to do with my life. And it's also provided me with endless opportunities to pursue after my goals. Georgia Tech really empowers their students to go out there and really try anything they want, whether that be research, internships, co-op, study abroad. I think that Georgia Tech is a place that you can do all of it. I'm really proud to say that I'm a Ramblin' Rec from Georgia Tech.
All right, I'm here with Ellen Min and Nick Laconico with lots of stoles and ribbons and honors. I'm feeling a little intimidated.
I mean, what can you say? We were both very involved on campus, so we wanted to represent that.
And it shows all the hard work you guys have put in. Now, you guys know each other. You've spent a lot of time together.
Yes.
Is it good to have a good friend here with you today?
Yeah, obviously. It's kind of like a bittersweet moment. You know, friendships are kind of coming to an end because we're graduating, but it's good to see familiar faces in line.
And you guys were both finalists for Mr. and Miss Georgia Tech as well. Was that? I think you both said that was one of your favorite moments. What was it about being on the field that was so special, Nick?
I think the biggest thing is that an organization or a group of people had to nominate you, and for them to think that you belong to that field and had faith in you to represent the school was an amazing experience. And being by the other campus leaders was amazing in itself.
So Ellen, her next step after graduating with her industrial engineering degree is to head to law school. And I want you to turn around so we can check out the mortarboard. So it says law school bound. Thanks, Mom and Dad. So that's what you'll see on Ellen's cap. So where are you headed to law school?
So I actually applied early decision to Emory Law School, so I will know by the end of December where I will be at.
All right, fingers crossed, but I don't think there's any need for that based on what she's done here. Nick, your next step actually may bring you back to campus.
Yes, so I'm actually going to be interning on campus in the Office of Admissions and the new Student Sophomore Programs Office to work with them as I worked with them before with Facet and tour guides.
Well, we're going to let these guys go get in line because we're getting close to graduation. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
We're going to, we've got a few more graduates to introduce you to, including 2 guys who took a pretty incredible trip and drove almost 10,000 miles.
One Small Step was a group of 5 of us, 5 Georgia Tech students, that basically drove 10,000 miles from London to Mongolia, across some of the most beautiful, some of the most scary, some the most incredible parts of the world.
The whole point of this charity, it's the Mongolia Charity Rally. It's for Go Help, and they do a lot of stuff with healthcare in Mongolia as well as early childhood education. And so this is one of their projects where they try and get people to bring ambulances to donate so they can get people from the rural villages in Mongolia to the hospital.
So we went through 21 countries, which was basically from London. We kind of went southeast through Europe, and then through Istanbul, and then over into Asia through Georgia, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and back into Russia, and then into Mongolia. So one of the really cool highlights was we stopped in Luzern, Switzerland, and Brugg, Switzerland, where a friend of ours from Georgia Tech, he was a mechanical engineer at Georgia Tech, is now pursuing his PhD. And we stopped and stayed with him for a little while and got to see what his work was on, and we got to see a particle accelerator, which, being the Georgia Tech nerds that we are, we got to nerd out for a day on vacation, which was pretty cool.
My favorite place, I think, was definitely Istanbul. It's just such a huge place, and there's all different kinds of things. Like one peninsula, it's all very historic and really cool, all the mosques and the architecture.
The country of Mongolia itself was probably my favorite when we were traveling through it, just because you could go from like a desert-like terrain to a very mountainous-like terrain to, I think they filmed the movie Martian there, so it like kind of looked like Mars in some places. So not all of us knew stuff about engines or were the best car-savvy people or even the most culturally knowledgeable. So when we came into situations where either we had car troubles or troubles communicating with people, we had to figure out creative ways to come out of the situation on top, figure out the problem, and then figure out a solution from there. And I think Georgia Tech really does a great job of teaching those problem-solving skills.
It taught me how to be a really creative communicator. I think you definitely grow the most when you push yourself outside your comfort zone. So I would definitely say you should go study abroad and go try new things you wouldn't normally do, and get uncomfortable and learn something about yourself.
Back in Zelnach, Bryce Zimmerman here, and we're joined by the two members of that trip that went all the way from London, England to Mongolia. And I got to ask you guys this question. I want both of you to answer. When you decided that you were going to make an 11,000-mile trek cross country, across Europe, into Asia, and into Mongolia, what in the world did your parents say?
My parents immediately thought I was crazy. They pretty much said no at first, but then once they realized it was something that I really wanted to make happen, they were pretty supportive of it. They even set up like a parents group with all of our parents so that they could commiserate together. But eventually they were supportive, but absolutely not at first.
Tony?
Yeah, they basically just said no. But yeah, like Rohan said, I think once they saw all the effort we were putting into it and how much work we were putting in, that we were serious about it, they started to warm up to the idea a little bit more, and we're more okay with it.
What were some of their serious concerns? Like, they had to think that part through the desert where you're not around a lot of people in Mongolia. I mean, that made me nervous, and you guys had already come back.
Well, so one, I'm like allergic to things, so my mom was super worried about that and asking me 10,000 questions. And then they were very worried about how we would communicate, and we basically very bluntly told them we probably won't because we'll be in the middle of nowhere. So that was probably pretty bad when we didn't know if we were going to be able to talk to them or not.
Tony, what were your parents most worried about?
I think the usual things like kidnapping. I think my mom was worried about
the usual things.
Well, in weird parts of the world. And then just car accidents, I guess.
Yeah, so the driving I know was pretty fierce, especially in Turkey, and I don't want to throw you under the bus here, but I believe that you stalled out the vehicle.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we all stalled it out a few times, but the only accident we had was in Switzerland. I ran into a pole trying to park the car, but we're lucky that was the only damage that we had done.
Yeah, but driving through 21 different countries, I think you get a pass over 11,000 miles. Guys, thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, those two are graduating after a very, very long trip across all of Europe and Asia. Next, we're going to take a look at one of the most involved people on campus, young man that's going to flight school.
I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. My family are the biggest Tennessee fans ever. I was supposed to go to Tennessee, I think, for my entire life. And for certain reasons, I knew that I wanted to serve, and in all honesty, I knew that I wanted to fly. So I started doing more research. Turns out the Navy probably has the best opportunities to fly of all the branches. I wouldn't be here at Georgia Tech if it weren't for the ROTC scholarship, and I also wanted a little more of a college experience than I think the Academy would have offered me. So as a midshipman, I was in charge of the Navy ROTC battalion for a semester, which just meant that I oversaw the training and development of all the midshipmen for Georgia Tech and ROTC. I will be attending flight school in Pensacola, Florida, and it's It's a lifelong dream come true. I'm excited to serve my country as a naval aviator, and to me it's just the best of both worlds because I get to serve my country, but I'm going to be serving my country doing something pretty awesome. One of my biggest involvements was the Ramblin' Rec Club here on Georgia Tech's campus. I've been involved since my sophomore year, and it's probably been my favorite involvement throughout my years here at Georgia Tech. Then this past year I've been the president of the club, so it's been a big commitment, but a fulfilling commitment. I think my favorite thing about Georgia Tech is how close we are to our traditions. I love the Ramblin' Rec Club so much, and I think I wanted to become president. I was encouraged by presidents prior because it wasn't really something that I had been thinking about, but then I started to put a lot more thought into it and just thought about all the love that I literally had for Rec Club and the newfound love that I had for Georgia Tech, and I just decided that I needed to put this to good use. Looking back, I remember in my GT 1000 class, we wrote these letters to our future graduating self, and I still have mine. I'm looking forward to reading it because I know Zach didn't have a great outlook freshman year. I was stressed. I was new in town. I didn't know anybody here at Georgia Tech. I think walking across the stage, I'll be most proud looking back on those moments, looking back on how stressed I was freshman year and pushing through.
All right, back here with Zach after getting to look at that package and some of the things that you've done here on campus. But one thing you mentioned was going to flight school, which I think is really cool. But what I think is even better is the story of what inspired you to get involved into flying as your career path.
Yeah, so it's something I definitely started to heavily consider in high school, but even long before that, my my dad was a huge fan of the movie Top Gun, and I don't know if it was him or watching the movie, but being a Maverick always looked pretty interesting. So I definitely think it was him, you know, and his excitement for that just made me want to aim towards that and, you know, fly straight into the danger zone. So.
Well done. 1980s themed movies, fantastic, great reason to go into the military. We were just talking a moment ago about what your role is going to be on campus now that you're graduating. You're still going to be around though before you ship out.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be hanging out here working at the ROTC unit and yeah, just helping them out with everything, and eventually I'll ship off to Pensacola to go to flight school in March.
In March, so still got some time if you want to check out Zach on campus. He's going to be around running laps, making the kids do a lot of work. You're also president of the Rec Club, which we found out in the video, and I know that one of your favorite memories was a tour that goes on every year, and this particular year down in South Georgia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, me and the driver Chris were touring around with the Rec. And I don't know, that was incredible. I think one of my favorite things about that was just taking the Rec where the Rec has never been before. So driving the Rec through Thomasville and, you know, annoying the Georgia fans, but really exciting the Tech fans who were down there just because it was such a surprise to all of them. Why is the Rec driving through my small town and, you know, in the middle of the summer? So
we like annoying Georgia fans. This scarf says, "To hell with Georgia."
THWG. What's the good word?
All right, so that's Zach. Thank you very much, and good luck out there today.
Thank you.
All right, so we're also going to bring in Christian Battaglia, and Christian is a young man that spent some time abroad. And what did you do over there? Because you were involved in something that not a lot of study abroad students get to get involved with.
Yeah, so I started in Barcelona in 2014 as a student. Went back as a teaching assistant the following year, and my good friend Oscar, who was a student here, started a business over there, which is Glovo. And now, after last year or the past couple months, they just raised another $25 million for their company, and they're doing really well. So they got 200 employees, and it was a crazy experience.
What did you glean from that time over there that you can use as you go into your career?
I think my experience was unique because the startup atmosphere, you don't really see that much all throughout college, and it kind of gave me, you know, a step ahead. I had a full year off from school with all that included.
What are you graduating with today? What's your degree in?
Computer science.
All right, Christian Battaglia, computer science, congratulations.
Thanks so much, Bryce.
And now we're going to take one more package. This is a young lady who blew up social media recently because of her journey here at Georgia Tech, which was fraught with challenges.
So my first year was pretty terrible. I finished with a 1.17 GPA, and I went home and my parents were like, no, this is not going to work. So you have one more chance. I kind of just said, okay, I need to figure this out. I need to figure out how I'm gonna pass because I can't just fail out of school. For me, I'll say this right now, like my faith is really important to me, so I was literally like begging God, send me somebody who can help me. I used to stay in the library. I would take naps in the library, and then, you know, my friend would come and wake me up and say, okay, time to go to class, you know, another class. Then I'd study for hours and hours just trying to figure out how can I, you know, overcome this. And I had to be really strategic about what classes I was taking. When I was taking them, I was constantly calculating, you know, how many credit hours I need to take, what effect it's going to have on my GPA. So now I have a 3.13. So basically at the end of the semester, I should be graduating with honors. I got 3 job offers, and then I was able to get into grad school, and I just literally started crying because I couldn't believe it, you know, being like how far I've come. I just couldn't really believe it. So I always knew I wanted to share my story just because I feel like other people can relate. I didn't know so many people could relate, but I shared my story on Instagram, and then I wanted to do kind of a short version on Twitter. And on Twitter, it literally just blew up. It was people from other schools, people from my school. It got reposted on World Star Hip Hop, and I thought that was legit crazy. I remember there was one lady, she graduated in '83, I believe, and she replied to my tweet saying, I completely remember, you know, I'm really happy for you. We both got through it. And just hearing that, you know, hearing people 20 years ago were doing the same thing, and then to know that I'm a part of that group who made it out is really cool. So my favorite thing about tech, it's not really the traditional answer, but probably how difficult it was. I just felt as though tech really prepares you for life, and it's the hardest thing that I've ever done, probably the hardest thing I will ever do. I've heard that from alumni that once you finish tech, you're really ready for anything. Anything else is going to be a breeze. Just going forward, I feel as though, you know, if I can do this, I can do anything.
So if there is ever a story that hard work pays off, it is definitely Sharony White. Sharony, you've got to be excited this morning.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm like freaking out.
Feeling like all the hard work that you put in paid off.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm really blessed, so I'm just really excited.
So next step for you, you've got options. Despite all the challenges you came through here at Georgia Tech, what are you going to be doing next?
So I'll start work in February in Atlanta. I'm working for McCarthy Building Incorporation, and then I will be going to grad school next spring.
And the always prepared Georgia Tech student has the comfortable shoes on now and the shiny for show graduation shoes in her hand. Always prepared, right? That's what a Georgia Tech engineer is.
Absolutely.
All right, she's got to go get in lineup. Congratulations, Sharony.
Thank you so much.
So the students, as you can see, they're kind of peeling out here from McCamish, which means we are getting incredibly close to graduation. We're going to kind of wrap things up here from Zelnak, and we're going to be coming over into McCamish for a few minutes with you guys. But first, we want to introduce you to some of our business school graduates with a little bit of holiday flair.
Thank you, Mom and Dad, for giving me the education of my dreams. Thank you to Nick and the whole Scheller College of Business community for encouraging me along the way. I love you all, and go Jackets.
Thank you to my family and friends who have made the last 4.5 years an adventure. Go Jackets.
Hi, Mom and Dad. I'd like to thank you for all the support that you have given me for the past 4 years. I'd also like to throw out a special thank you to my aunt and uncle. They have put up with me for 2 years. They helped me with my college, and they were a great help with an addition to my parents. Thank you everyone who helped me succeed and get to this graduation point.
So I would like to say congratulations to the class of 2017. We finally have made it. And I also like to give a special shout out to my mother, my sister, my brother, and everybody else who has always encouraged me to keep going. I finally made it and I'm really happy. So congratulations to everyone.
Thank you so much. My dad, my mom, my grandmother, my uncle, my auntie. They give me very large support to my study, to my life. Go Jackie! Georgia Tech is my best school in my life. Thank you so much.
These last 4.5 years at Georgia Tech have been some of the most formative years of my life, and I have a lot of people to thank for it. Starting with my parents. Mom and Dad, I love you. Thank you for all of your support. And the Georgia Tech faculty, staff, and administration, thank you so much for your support and guidance and helping me become the person I am today. And lastly, to all of my friends here who have helped me with those late night study sessions, thank you. Go Jackets.
Hey Mom and Dad, thank you for helping me out throughout these 4.5 years. I'm so excited to get out. Thank you for your support. To my friends that I've made here at Georgia Tech, you guys have helped me along the ride. Let's see where the future takes us. Go Jackets!